Slavery ended in 1865 at least. That's what most people are taught. But across the American South, a new system quietly replaced it, one that chained men together, rented them out to private companies, and worked them until they broke. It wasn't called slavery. It was called justice. And it was powered by a single legal loophole that still exists in the US Constitution. This is the story of convict leasing forced labor after the Civil War. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery, except as punishment for a crime. That one exception became a doorway. Because once slavery was outlawed, the South faced a massive economic problem. Plantations, mines, railroads, entire industries had depended on forced labor. So the question became, how do you keep a labor force without calling it slavery? The answer wasn't hidden. It was written into law. After the war, many southern states passed harsh new laws, often called black codes, that criminalized everyday life. Vagrancy could mean you were unemployed. Loitering could mean you were standing in the wrong place. Not having proof of work could mean jail. Minor accusations could turn into convictions. Then came the courts. Quick hearings, weak defense, and heavy fines. And if you couldn't pay, the punishment could become labor. So, poverty became a trap, and the law became a machine that produced workers. Here's how convict leasing worked. States and counties leased prisoners to private businesses, lumber camps, brickyards, railroad crews, and plantations. The government got revenue, companies got cheap labor, and prisoners lost control of their own bodies. This wasn't a typical prison sentence. In many lease camps, the goal was rehabilitation. The goal was output. Oh, much coal. How many railroad ties? How many miles of track? And there was a horrifying incentive built into the system. If a prisoner died, the company could simply request another lease. That made the leased worker disposable in a way even slavery often didn't. Allowed because enslavers had a financial incentive to keep a person alive. Leasing did not always work that way. Survivors and investigators described overcrowded stockades, disease, starvation-level diets, brutal discipline, and exhausting work, especially in mines and heavy industry. Convict leasing spread because it was profitable. For governments, it looked like a solution. They didn't have to build large prisons. They didn't have to pay to house and feed people for long. Instead, they could turn incarceration into revenue. For private companies, it was a labor dream. Workers who couldn't quit, workers who couldn't negotiate wages, workers controlled by guards, chains, and threats. And for the social order of the time, it delivered something else. A way to reassert control after emancipation by turning freedom into something that could be revoked. As leasing faced criticism, another system became the public symbol of forced labor. Chain gangs. Groups of men, often black, were shackled together and forced to build roads and do punishing outdoor work. It was labor, yes, but it was also a message. Chain gangs were visible. They were meant to warn entire communities. One arrest can erase your freedom, even as some states officially ended private leasing over time. Forced prison labor continued through other forms: statron farms, road crews, and prison industries. The machinery didn't disappear. It changed uniforms. So why don't most people learn about convict leasing in school? Because it ruins the clean story of American progress. It shows that slavery didn't simply end, it evolved, using courts and prisons as the new chain. And its legacy still echoes today in debates about prison labor, incarceration, and the meaning of justice. If you remember one line from this video, remember T's after 1865, freedom became real but fragile. And the law created a loophole big enough to swallow thousands of lives. This was convict leasing. Forced labor after the Civil War, built on profit, protected by policy, and buried by silence. Follow for more American history stories that were rarely taught because some chapters weren't forgotten. They were covered up.